What's going on, guys? Welcome to our random video on this channel. Today's video we're talking about the Google Assistant that everyone's talking about since the Google event where they announced the Pixel and Pixel XL smartphones. Now, if you got an update for Android recently with Android Nougat, and you had a previous version of these phones, which would be the Nexus phones, you probably noticed that it didn't include the Assistant. Not only that, it didn't include the long press feature where you get various options for applications that you're using, similar to 3D Touch for the iPhone. So there's some features that are not included for Nexus users, and some Nexus users are out there and they're trying to figure out a way to implement the Assistant. There's two ways to go about doing this. One application is from Google, and that's called Google Allo, A-L-L-O. And actually, you can install that in the Google Play Store. And I installed that to my Nexus 6 to see what it was all about because recently I got an OTA update that included Android Nougat. But I also noticed some of these features were included, so I wanted to know how you can get them as well. When I install Google Allo, it's an application. It also includes the Google Assistant, but it's not the same as the Pixel and Pixel XL having a Google Assistant because with that, the Google Assistant is included in the OS, similar to Google Now. So with Google Allo, the Google Assistant is included as part of the messaging application. So when I tried it out, I thought it was pretty cool. Some examples is that you're texting the assistant asking, what the weather is, what time it is, when a sports game is going on. You can ask it a bunch of different things, including getting directions. So there's a lot of great things that you can do with the Google Assistant, even if you install the Google Allo application. This is one thing though. A lot of people who use Android, that wouldn't be good enough because we all know that you can root your phone and the phone is capable of having the actual Google Assistant included in the OS just as it is with the Pixel and Pixel XL. Most people realize this. So even with my Nexus 6, you can install the application, but again, as people use Android, they want to have the features that everyone else has with their Android devices, especially if you have a recent version of the Nexus phone and you think that you should really have the Google Assistant included. So another option is if you don't want to install that Google Allo application, you can still get the Google Assistant by rooting your phone. And there's developers out there that have actually worked on this where you can install an Android image to your phone if you would like to do that. So there's two options here. One is with the application, and the other way is to just root your phone, install an Android image, and then get the Google Assistant included. My recommendation after using the Allo application, if the Google Assistant is not that important to you, you can just install that Allo application and try it out. And I'll put a link in the description so you guys can see what that's all about in the Google Play Store. As far as rooting your phone, you really need to know what you're doing. I've rooted my Nexus 6 when I had to because there was an issue with the OTA update. And now that I saw this OTA update that doesn't include some of the features, I get what Google's trying to do here. And we're going to talk about that also. So you really have two options with how you want to handle the situation with installing the Assistant to your phone. And that's the great thing about Android. You see these updates out there. You do have options. If your phone doesn't have a feature, especially with a various version of Android or a different device, you can try to figure out a solution. That's what I really like about Android is because you do have these options where you include additional features based on what developers are doing out there, and that's what's important about Android. You're seeing the evolution of Android based on how people want to use their phone. Now this is the thing though we have to talk about, and that's Google. When I noticed that the Google Assistant wasn't included, and when I got that OTA update for my Nexus 6, another feature I noticed right away, as I said before, was the long press feature that was not included, similar to 3D Touch for the iPhone. So you have to start asking the questions. Why didn't they include some of these features in the previous versions of the phone, which would be the Nexus phones? What I think is, as other people are probably thinking the same kind of thing, Google is trying to be like Apple. And Google created these devices, and they want you to buy a Pixel and Pixel XL phone, and they want you to move forward with Google buying these kind of phones. And they do not want to give the same kind of features to everyone else that has previous versions of the phone because they're trying to encourage people to buy the newer phones. So the situation here is that Google removed some features, and that's what it looks like, because you can say the hardware can only support certain features, but for some strange reason, I don't think the long press feature or even the Google Assistant would only work on a Pixel or Pixel XL based on the hardware. Because the hardware is the hardware. We're talking about a platform here. And I am not going to make excuses for an OS that could have included some features on the previous versions of the devices, especially the recent versions of those devices. And even if the Nexus 6 is a few years old, it's not the oldest phone out there, and I think they could have included these features. So with that being said, the more I look at the situation with the Pixel and Pixel XL, and I see how the Nexus 6 is working, and by the way, since I got the OTA update for Android Nougat, it's amazing. It's really running fast. Some of the updates I noticed were including the actual design of the notifications, the notification bar. It's impressive. As soon as I got that update, I wanted to see how the phone was going to work. I wanted to see how things looked. It runs fast. It looks amazing. It's an impressive update, including for a Nexus 6. Regardless if Google includes features or doesn't, and people notice this, and of course developers are going to notice this and people that use Android want to get all the features. So what people are doing already, they're developing with the platform. Of course, people are going to include these features, and they're trying to get people to understand that you do have options. And that's the reason why I want to talk about this as well. Because if you see an OTA update or you see Google talking about these features and they say the Pixel and Pixel XL have certain features, and then you have previous versions of the Nexus devices that don't have them, you have people that are interested in the platform and they're adding to the OS by implementing the features themselves. So if a company doesn't want to do it, such as Google, you have other people that are interested in doing it and trying to do it, because Android is a kind of platform where people just want to see the possibilities with the platform and make it even better. And that's one of the best things about Android. Now, as far as people asking me questions about the Pixel and Pixel XL, I see some people asking the question, or they're posting to my channel, talking about the Pixel and Pixel XL exclusively for Verizon. This is the issue with the phone with Verizon. First of all, for people who are saying that the bootloader is not locked, that's simply not true. The bootloader is locked. And if you purchase that Pixel or Pixel XL phone from Verizon, you cannot root your phone. Although there's people that are already trying to get around that, and I see people are saying it's not 100% perfect, and they're trying to work on that. Again, like I said before about Android, you're always going to have people that want to use the phone and enhance Android the way they want to. So when a company like Verizon locks the bootloader, which does not allow you to root the phone, of course there's going to be a lot of Android users out there that say, you know what, I would like to unlock my phone. So Verizon, take your ridiculous data capping plans, step aside, and developers out there that are interested in Android are going to try to unlock the bootloader. That's what goes on in the Android community. So again, we talk about this Verizon exclusive. I'm trying to explain this to people who post to my channel, and they're saying that the bootloader is not locked. It's a locked bootloader. If you purchase the phone from Google, you're going to get an unlocked bootloader where you can take the phone wherever you want. My feedback about Android Nougat and even the Pixel and Pixel XL, because I did try the phone at the Verizon store, I think it's an interesting phone. I think Android runs amazingly on the phone. As far as the Nexus 6, it runs fantastic. It really made this phone even more impressive. I noticed also somebody posted on my channel talking about charging for a Nexus device or even the Pixel phones. These phones can charge really fast. That's one of the most amazing things with the Nexus phones or even the Pixel phones. So a lot of times when I look at Android or even the Pixel and Pixel XL phones, Nexus devices, I'm looking at how Android is evolving. And when people heard that I didn't like the Pixel or Pixel XL smartphones, they thought I just didn't like those phones and that was it. It's not about that, because as long as people are interested in Android and they're purchasing those phones and they're seeing how great Android is, I think it's fantastic because it makes the platform even better when a lot of people are using it. And Android's the most popular mobile platform in the world, so it's a great platform. And as far as the phone itself, like the Nexus 6, I'm comparing that to the Pixel and Pixel XL because you have to think about upgrading your phone, and when you compare phones, there's not that many people that are encouraged to upgrade their Nexus devices to these Pixel phones. And that was my point when I was talking about the Pixel phones. But as far as Android Nougat, this is an update that you should be interested in. And as far as updating it yourself, you can always install the factory image. And if you don't know how to root your phone, or you're not really interested in updating your phone like that, you know, you can just wait for the OTA update. But I tried to update my phone myself by rooting the phone and then installing a factory image back when I had to, because I had to fix my phone. So if you don't have to fix your phone and you just want to wait for the update, I would say just wait for the update. Nexus fans are going to be really interested in this update. You guys are going to really like it. I would like to know what you guys think about it though. If you're using the Android Nougat update, which device are you using it on? And if you're a Nexus 6 owner, or you own any kind of variation of the Nexus phones or the Pixel phones, let me know what you think about Android Nougat. And of course, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.